Hello, Anna Navarro.
Hello, Brian.
All right, it is Thursday. You're on the show tomorrow, but let's dig into all the stuff we've missed. President Biden delivered his final address last night, his farewell address, where he reflected on his political career, but also issued a stark warning to the nation about the unchecked power of the ultra wealthy, which is something we've been talking about on the show for a long time. He's preparing to cede power to President Trump. What did you make of the speech?
You know, I thought it was a very nice speech. And I'm glad he got his farewell speech because I was thinking about this. He never got an inaugural, like a real swearing
That's
in
true.
with galas and all of that because we were in the middle of COVID. The thing that struck me the most about what he said was when he talked about that he has planted the seeds that are going to grow and bloom, and we're going to be seeing the results of the things he has done for decades to come. Look, the things he's done are going to outlive him, maybe outlive me. You know, all these infrastructure projects that are going to be popping up. This thing about capping the medication costs for Medicare recipients at $2,000. That's the most they're going to have to pay out of pocket. What he's done to cap the cost of some of these medications. Look, I'm sad that he's leaving office with as low an approval rating as he is.
I was going to say, because
I think that's going to change.
I was going to say history does tend to change people's perspectives. I mean, you don't have to look much further than Jimmy Carter, what's happening now. I mean, I think a lot of people look back on his 4 years. I know you have mixed feelings about it, but I think history has been kind to his 4 years and his one term.
I think history has been kind to Jimmy Carter, mostly because of his post-presidency.
Because of what he did afterwards.
Right? He was so young when he left the presidency, and he spent 40 years. He lived to be 100 years old. He spent 40 plus years doing things that I think affected the way people saw him. Certainly the way I saw him. Mm-hmm. All of his volunteer work, the way he lived his life, the Habitat for Humanity. Joe Biden's leaving at 82. He doesn't have 40 years to reshape his post-presidency, but I think people are going to look at the things he did in those 4 years. I mean, for the love of God, this man came in and everything was a hellscape. We had just survived January 6th. I know people want to whitewash it. I know some people want to forget it. I know some people want to rewrite history, but the truth is there and we're going to know it. And historians and kids are going to study it in social studies. And Joe Biden came in and brought us decency and brought us peace, brought us tranquility. I mean, the chaos, the anger, all of that. You know, he led us through a pandemic, once in a century pandemic. And then he really passed a lot of bipartisan legislation, particularly his first 2 years, that we are going to be seeing the results of for decades and decades to come.
You made a point on social to call out a photo that it was Vice President Harris and the First Lady, Jill Biden, holding hands during the address. Why did that impact you?
Well, because, you know, we had just seen the Carter funeral and there was a big topic. In fact, I think we did it as a hot topic on the show about the body language at the funeral. And part of that body language was what seemed like a very cool rapport, if any, between Jill and Kamala. And it's not what I've known them to have. And particularly, there's been incredible fondness between Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband, and Jill Biden. They traveled a lot together as the spouses of the principals, and they really like each other. Doug has spoken to me about it through the years, about their relationship, about their closeness, about how much they enjoy being with each other and laughing with each other.
That's great.
And so I that's what I have known for these last 4 years, what I have seen when I've seen them together. And there was a point in the speech, in Biden's farewell speech, where he thanked Doug and Kamala and Jill, and he said that Doug and Kamala have become like family for them, and that for him, family is everything. And I suspect that's the moment where they all held hands.
Yeah.
They were sitting next to each other. And look, contrast that with Donald Trump, whose former vice president, Mike Pence, hadn't been in the same room with him. I'm not even sure they'd been in the same zip code since, what? You know, since January 6th, January 6th of, maybe not even that, were they together then, who we just saw at the Carter funeral, that Karen Pence, his wife, rightly so, would not get up or even acknowledge their presence, even though she got up for everybody else. Good for her. You know, he almost got Mike Pence killed. And so it's nice to see.
He gave a statement yesterday saying he doesn't want to interview anybody or hire anybody that's recommended by Mike Pence or among other people.
Well, I don't even think he's saying recommended by Mike Pence. He basically put out a list, Donald Trump, of people that if anybody had worked for them, he's saying, don't even send me their names. It was, Paul Ryan, Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney,
Dick Cheney,
Mike Pence, Dick Cheney, Nikki Haley, John Bolton. I mean, these are people who worked for him in his administration, and so I think that's ridiculous, frankly, because there's a lot of young staffers, people who were, very young staffers. I know people who worked for Liz Cheney who, when Liz took the position she did, went and worked for somebody else, left Liz Cheney's office. So are those people now in the banned list?
It's interesting.
These young staffers. I mean, I think it's him and that retribution he said he would take.
Well, speaking of the people that are going to be working for President Trump, the inauguration's on Monday and confirmation hearings have begun. We've been talking about it a little bit on the show this week, but let's get your take on a few of these. First of all, his Attorney General pick, Pam Bondi, who and we're kind of optimistic about when it was first announced. She was in the hot seat yesterday. What was your takeaway from that?
She was combative. She was well prepped. She knew these questions were going to get asked about her, to her. Questions about, did Donald Trump lose the election? Did Joe Biden win? And she was very careful in what she said. But she was very well prepped to pivot.
Yes.
And not actually answer the questions asked. Right? When she got asked, do you acknowledge that Joe Biden won the election? She said he was duly sworn in. He's the he's the duly sworn in president. She didn't say duly elected.
Right.
She said duly sworn in. He is the president. Also, listen, all of these people coming in front of these hearings know that there's not a single Republican who's going to not vote for them. They have the votes. So they have the ability, they have the luxury, if you like, of being glib and evasive and defensive and combative and pivoting and not actually answering because the Republicans are going to vote for them, and that's all they need in order to get confirmed, even if they get confirmed by one vote.
I mean, that's been my takeaway from watching it, and I guess I didn't fully grasp that until it started, but they don't really need to answer. They just need to survive, and they just need to get through these.
They don't even need to survive. Listen.
Yeah. But they need to not turn the votes they already have away, I guess is what it is.
There's nothing they can do to turn those votes away, because we saw Pete Hegseth's hearing, and he is an idiot. I mean, not only does he have huge ethical and character flaws that should disqualify him, he should be disqualified just by the fact of his character, of all the things that he has done, that he's been accused of by his own mother. But add to that that he is incapable, intellectually incapable of answering the most basic questions that a Department of Defense chief should know. So he is disqualified on both fronts. Because if you said to me, he's very experienced, he is very knowledgeable, but now he's found Jesus, and, he's converted into this good man. He's got all these ethical issues, but he's got all this experience and all this knowledge. I'd be like, okay. Or if you said to me, okay, he's got this great character and he's this great person and he's going to learn all of this stuff. But it's both things, right? Character issues and lack of basic knowledge of how the Department of Defense works or how to manage something of that size. And I think that the hearings of Pam Bondi and Marco Rubio Marco's hearing didn't get much coverage. I was watching it on C-SPAN 3.
Right.
Marco, and then the ceasefire thing news
Interrupted
broke,
that,
and
right.
then that interrupted the hearing coverage on Bondi and Rubio. But both of them knew what they were talking about. And I think it made it even that more painfully obvious just how woefully unqualified Pete Hegseth is in every respect. But Marco Rubio knows what he's talking about. Every question that was thrown at him, he batted out of the park. Look, you can like him or dislike him. God knows I know Marco very well, but I have been very critical of him as of late.
Sure.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that I thought he gave a master class on how to conduct a confirmation hearing, how to be at a confirmation hearing. Also, he's not accused of sexual crimes. He's not accused of being a drunk. He's not accused of mismanaging charities. He's, his mother is dead, but she liked him. I met her.
Well, listen. So, I mean, we've talked about this, and we talked about this on the show when you weren't here. There were two lines of attack on Pete Hegseth from the Democrats, and there was the character flaws, and he's denied all the wrongdoing that he was.
I don't know that he's denied them. He's saying he found Jesus.
Yes, but he's saying he did not say he did anything wrong. He just kind of pivoted, but the lack of experience is almost more damning even than the character flaws for most people. I think
it's lack of experience and lack of basic knowledge that he can't answer what countries make up organizations, that he can't answer what the agreements that Department of Defense, the Secretary of the Department of Defense needs to sign and negotiate. I mean, honestly, Cha-Cha could do better. Because Cha-Cha would just sit there and be cute.
I think Cha-Cha would get confirmed pretty easily from both sides. All right, so the other big conversation we had, and you were here for part of this, Carrie Underwood, who you have a middling knowledge of, I think.
I have no idea who she is.
Country superstar, huge talent, great voice. She's going to be the new host of American Idol on ABC. You know how you'll know her? Because on Sunday Night Football, she sings the song at the beginning, and I'm sure you've been in the room when that plays.
I don't watch football.
Okay.
I have never watched American Idol.
No, but your husband watches football constantly.
Yes, but I just ignore him.
Okay.
He just sits there watching it. I mean, why would I even speak to him while he's watching football? I love football.
Okay.
So I have no idea who this woman is. When I thought for a minute there, I thought it was Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City, and then that had me panicking. So this doesn't affect me one iota because I have no idea who she is. I'm not a fan. I don't think I could name one of her songs if you put a gun to my head. Look, if it was Mark Anthony or Bad Bunny or Shakira, I'd be writhing in pain on the floor, tearing my hair out, and I'd be boycotting and I'd be calling Mark, and letting them know how incredibly disappointed I am.
Right.
But it's a lady this is one of these instances where my incredible lack of
pop culture knowledge, right?
Like if I was nominated for Secretary of Pop Culture, I would be as woefully unqualified as Pete Hegseth is for Department of Defense. So
I couldn't vote for you for that. I have to be honest with you.
Seriously, I have no idea who this person is.
They called me in to challenge you at the confirmation hearings, I think. Yeah.
I know she's a very, very big person. I know she's got a lot of followers. I know that people are
she's very
affected.
talented.
I read that she's lost a bunch of Spotify followers, but if you put her in a picture in front of me, I have no idea. I know she's blonde.
Yeah,
that's about all I know.
You've been through a bunch of administrations, and you've seen this before. I mean, as a Republican, you've seen Democrats be upset about people that are pro-Republican in the pop culture world, and vice versa. Do you think the backlash? What do you make of backlash in that sense? Do you think people should just not get worked up, or you think?
I can't talk to you much about this particular woman.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know what she has said before or said after.
Very little. Yeah, a couple things here and there.
But I think people are entitled to have a reaction. If somebody that they follow, that they support, whose shows they've attended, who, they've given money to in some way, do something that is against their values. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to them. You can stop following them on Spotify. You can stop following them on Instagram. You can, stop buying their records, going to their, so I think artists have every right
to perform where they
want. To have a political opinion. And I think people who follow artists have every right to react to it or not, to either say, okay, they're just an artist, they can sing wherever they want, or to say, you know what, you're normalizing a felon. I'm out. I'm not gonna support you anymore. But in my case, since I got no idea who this lady is,
You're
I
fine
got
with
no
it.
problem.
Well, there you go. All right.
I mean, do people know how pop culture challenged I am?
I think if they listen to the podcast, they do. I don't know if it comes up on the show every day, but yeah, we've gone. I had a running list of people Anna didn't know and should have known.
Who was that really famous woman? She's been on the news a lot lately.
Blake Lively.
Yes.
Blake Lively, you sent me a picture of and said, hey, I just met this woman. She seems very nice. Who is she? She seemed to know who I was. And you were sitting with her in a photo, and it was Blake Lively.
I was standing. She was very tall.
Yes. She's a massive movie star who is in the news very much right now.
That's because, but I do know her husband,
Ryan Reynolds.
who's that guy from the Mint commercials.
Yes, Mint Mobile. That's how you knew him. You didn't know him from Deadpool or The Proposal or
None of
any
that.
of the 100 movies he's made. But
She has got a, what are they called? RTDs, ready to drink.
Mm-hmm.
That Lee, best friend Lee,
Yes.
is, who works for Southern Wines, is distributing, and it's actually very good. It's like these fruit juice, seltzer,
Yeah. People love
liquor
those.
thing. Yeah, these RTDs, these ready to drink. I thought RTD was like a character in Star Wars, but they're
RTD too.
They're
Yeah.
the ready to drink.
All right. Well, listen. Going back to the
So
inauguration.
any celebrity who has a very good liquor brand,
Yes.
I'm more likely to know.
To know who they are. Okay. Well,
Yes.
going back to the inauguration where you may be drinking. What will you be watching on Monday? What's your plan?
Nope.
You're not going to do it.
I know I got to come back here.
Yeah,
and
you got to talk about it. You're going to be on
Tuesday,
a lot. Yeah.
I'll watch the clips. But listen, I have covered inaugurations for CNN since 2013. And been part of the coverage. But I really think that the people who should be there are people who either haven't done it before and really want to do it, or people who, I think inaugurations are celebrations,
Mm-hmm.
and they're happy occasions for the people who won. And I've done it for people who I've supported and not supported. But this to me is different. Donald Trump is different. It's not only that the person I was supporting, Kamala, lost to him, which stings. It's the fact that we elected a person who I think today is as much a threat to democracy as I thought on November 4th. I have not changed on that. I will not change on that, and I will not pretend otherwise. So the idea of sitting there and talking about the clothes and the speech. I mean, I already heard one American Carnage speech. That's enough for me for one lifetime. I don't need to hear a second one. I think Donald Trump is incredibly dangerous. I think he is a threat to democracy. I think that since he got elected, the things he has done, which have included causing international incidents with our allies like Denmark and Greenland and Panama and Canada and Mexico, which have included putting woefully unqualified people who are just rubber stamps to him, like Pete Hegseth, like RFK, into cabinet positions, Tulsi Gabbard. The things he has been saying about putting Liz Cheney in jail, the things, his retribution, the things he has been saying and doing, the unethical aspect of calling Justice Alito, right before sending a case to the Supreme Court. I don't need to wait till January 20th, 12:01 in the afternoon to know who Donald Trump is. I've had 9 years of the man. I know exactly who he is, and he's not going to change, and neither am I. And so I don't want to be part of normalizing that. I don't think it's good for my mental health. Just talking about it has me worked up. Yesterday, I was at the American Airlines lounge at Miami International, and a couple of people who recognized me came up to me and told me that they were leaving. They were leaving for the weekend because they didn't want to be here. One was going to Madrid, one was going to Paris. I was like, oh my God. I want your life, and I think it's fine. Listen, I think that if you are celebrating, or I think if you want to acknowledge the importance of the day, the rite of passage for democracy. You want to watch it. You want to take it all in. Good for you. Good for you. But I also think that if you are like Michelle Obama and are like, no, boo, you go by yourself. Been there, done that. I know what it's like, and I don't want to plaster a fake smile on my face and be on TV talking about.
You're not great with the fake smiles. I haven't seen a lot of good.
I'm not great with fake anything.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I am what I am. Take me or leave me. I don't fake normalizing anything, and I'm certainly not going to normalize Trump. Not today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, and not on January 20th.
All right. On January 21st, however, you'll be here and we'll be talking about it, and we'll show you clips in the morning to catch you up.
No, I plan to watch clips. I mean, how do you avoid clips?
You got to see clips. Yeah.
Can we talk about Lily wanting a dog?
Oh, sure. Yeah. My daughter.
So I feel like I'm somewhat responsible for this.
Well, you are a little bit. So I have two daughters. For those who listen to the podcast, probably know this. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old.
They're beautiful, talented, sweet, wonderful children.
Grace and Lily. And we went backstage at Annie together with you. We were there, and Cha-Cha was there as well. And my daughters were obsessed with Cha-Cha. And Lily then decided, this was right before Christmas, she decided that forget her Christmas list she had sent in. All she wanted for Christmas was a Cha-Cha. We got through that, no Cha-Cha. But now, as my wife posted on Instagram, and I guess I can show this to the YouTube audience, Lily has begun drawing different dogs of different breeds, trying to, I guess, seduce us into getting a new dog. So thank you for that, Anna.
And where are you on the seduction scale?
I am
between 1 and 10. Where are you?
I'm a 1. One dog is enough as far as I'm concerned. But,
and what does Lily have to do with the dog? Like, what are her responsibilities?
Right now, she's in charge of feeding the dog and cleaning up after the dog in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And she does those things. I wouldn't say she does them automatically. She has to be reminded many, many times. But she's in charge of it. And she gets allowance for this. She does these things, and then she makes me coffee. These are her allowance chores. Hopefully, she washes her hands in between.
And you do what?
Yeah. I go to work and provide for all of us. That's what I do.
I got to tell you, it's all I have been able to do to keep myself from jumping on a plane and going to LA to go hug dogs that have been rescued.
Yeah.
I have been bawling.
I could be convinced to get a rescue dog maybe, but
these dogs. No, because I think most of them are getting reunited.
I hope so.
With their owners. I mean, there's been some video of people getting reunited with their pets where my heart has been exploding. That's why I never leave Cha-Cha anywhere.
Ever. No.
Right, because...
As Joy said, she's become an appendage for you, but that's okay.
That's what Joy said?
Joy said it on the podcast, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, there we go.
Well, and what does Whoopi call her?
Call Joy?
No. Well, no, we can't say that.
What does Whoopi call Cha-Cha? I forget. What do we think?
You know how I always carry her under my arm?
Yes.
She calls her armpit hair.
All right. On that note, thank you for joining me today, Anna Navarro. That's it for us this week for Behind the Table, but there will be a new episode of The View tomorrow. We'll see you again then, and you can see even more of The View by watching our new streaming series, The Weekend View. Anna Navarro is a part of that. It's on ABC News Live at 7:30 and 9:30 Saturday and Sunday mornings. You can find ABC News Live anywhere you stream TV. So it's on Hulu. It's on Disney+. You can find it on any of your favorite streaming platforms. Just tune in at 7:30 or 9:30 on Saturday or Sunday and catch a new episode of The View. Bonus View on the weekends.